You saw us hauling all the block. It's right there behind me the other day. It's Saturday now, and today we're starting on the dog kennel expansion slash redo, if you will. This shed right here has been an eyesore at my house for years and years and years, and we're going to change it. So you can see the orange flag over there. Get this out of the way so it stays focused. Over there, that's marking the electric line. Just behind that or in front of that, whichever way you want to call it, depending on which way you're looking, marks the water line. So the utilities from the utility suppliers have marked their utilities. However, you can see I have some white paint and what I call witching sticks in my hand here. We'll get to that in just a minute. You can see the orange paint lines on the ground. So we're going to go from the shed out 8 feet to the edge of the block. Why 8 feet? I don't know. It's what I thought would work out okay. And it keeps me from having to shrink my garden. So, with that being said, that corner is going to come over to this corner, which is just off the inside or outside of that angled fence post there. You can see it. And we will dig a 2-foot trench up to that corner just off of, say hi Dad. That's my help for the day. My dad's going to help me. Just off of that corner there, we're going to come out 4 feet. And the reason for doing so is my thought process is if I put a 10-foot kennel here with a 4-foot extension, I can put all of my doors on this side of the kennel, and long term the shed is 16 feet wide. So I will have 3 5-foot kennels, 6 inches off of each edge kind of thing, with 3 doors on this front side, and then I have a sidewalk that I can walk down the front side of all those kennels. We're going to put these blocks in 2 layers high all the way around, all the way over to the county road, and then we're going to pour concrete on top of that because the shed has a concrete floor. And if I think, you all can tell me if you agree with this or not, but I think it will be easier to clean the dog pen out when it is concrete than when it is rock. So we're going to make the top of those blocks 4 inches lower than the top of concrete on that shed, which is why the transit's there. And I'll show you what I think is a great idea on the stick for the transit, which has the receiver here. I like to put black tape on it. And so this black piece of tape marks top of block. So if that stick sits on top of the block, that black strip of tape is where that receiver should be. Where it's at right now is going 2 courses high. So we have to be from there to the bottom of our ditch. What we're also adding to that is a 6-inch layer of rock. So really, you could take 6 inches off of that, but then we'd be guessing that last 6 inches. So back to the utilities. Provided utilities marked. Now I have a utility line coming from my basement, underneath my basement, going to my septic tank, which is over there, leach fields over in here. I personally have to mark that utility. So that's what we're going to do. You can see how I use what I call witching sticks. You want to hold the camera there, point it this direction. Now what I'm going to do here, folks, is these 2 sticks you hold loosely in your fingers, and as you walk along, I'm going to manually do this right now. As you walk along, when there's a pipe under the ground, they will turn on their own. I don't do that. And when they do, I will mark right at my feet a line on the ground so that that tells me where the line is. I don't want to dig it up. There we go. You can walk this way so that you don't get blocked by the mini excavator there. Mr. Dirt Perfect's mini excavator at that. Thanks to him for letting us utilize it for this job. Now we gotta avoid the blocks. We'll go down here, try to catch it from the upper side. That's what I think will be the upper side. One last mark here just for safe bets. All right, so now that we've done that, what that basically tells me is my orange corner that I had marked previously, get my pointing stick here so you can see what I'm talking about. The orange line comes down, goes over into the garden there, makes a 90. The white line's over there, so we should be able to dig all of this up, avoid that line, and then once we get to the other side over there, we will have to be careful of those utilities. So we'll dig slower, not quite as deep, as fast, find them if we think we're going to get close to them, and ensure that we're over top of them. Stay tuned. I will keep you guys abreast to the progress as we make some. All right, everybody. You can see the mini track hoe behind me, the famous Mr. Dirt Perfect's mini excavator. So we've started digging this first retaining wall, if you will, for the dog kennel, and well, it's going okay, and we found something interesting. So here you can see we're 2 feet wide, digging this with a 2-foot bucket, so we're a little wider than 2 feet. So we'll take one of those blocks, pick it up, set it down in here, and we'll stack them down through here, and then we'll alternate our seams. However, we found something interesting. To me, this looks like a man-made well. You can see the circular contour here. It comes all the way over into this dirt. If you look right over there, you actually see some water on that rock. And if you look right down in there, it looks to be like it's a pretty deep hole. So, judging by these rocks, they had to be hand placed. I don't think they weren't hand placed. That's pretty hand placed to me. You can tell they've kind of got a wedge rock there and a nice rock there. And I'm sure if I clean this face off, it will be, well, yeah, there's one right there. See how there's chips out of it? I think they call that a hand hewn, H-E-W-N. Don't check my spelling on that. But anyway, so there's a well here, which might make things interesting. But the ditch digging's going pretty good, in my opinion. First time to really dig a ditch with a mini excavator for me. So I'm happy with it. We're gonna have 6 inches of rock from the bottom of this thing up the wall, and we'll plate compact it so that we have a really good solid base. At least that's the way I think it will work great. If anybody else has any other ideas, we'll take them. But we're gonna keep digging. We've got to this corner here. You can see these big sandstone rocks here that I dug out of there. They were just below the cistern, just about right here where I'm standing. So I don't know if there was an old wall right here or what, but we're basically to our corner. Our corner is right at the edge of the garden there. So we're gonna turn around, we're gonna start digging that way. We'll see how this goes. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, we got her dug. We're done for the day. I'll show you guys the progress here. Tomorrow morning, we're gonna get up bright and early. We're gonna put rock in the bottom of this and plate pack it as I feel like creating a good base for these blocks to keep them from tipping. I know they have a lot of shear weight, but in my opinion, I think that they need to have rock packed under them. So it's not a dirt perfect ditch, but for my first go at it, this is about 54 feet, I think, and we got close to the water line right here. So what we decided to do was run our 6-footers, our first layers, and do a step footer and come up and just put one block here, because all we're going to do in this area is retain rock. We're not going to pour concrete here. From the corner of the shed to the 8-foot mark out, and then around the backside for that 14 by 24, we'll pour concrete there. So we'll walk down the ditch here. I think it looks pretty good. The old Dirt Perfect mini excavator did an amazing job. We used the 2-foot bucket for this. This dirt, as you can see, has a lot of clay in it, and it is just a sticky mess. You can kind of see the swirl marks where I had to keep curling the bucket, and then it'd pull a chunk out behind it, and then I'd have to take off again and pull another chunk out. So I think for the type of dirt that we were digging there, you can see it here, it's definitely some sticky clay, but I think for the purpose, it's going to do pretty good. So those blocks that come down that ditch, I'll show you that over there as well. They're going to come down to this corner. They'll come all the way down to this corner. The last 6-footer will span across, and then we'll bump a 6-footer into it, and we'll run up that ditch, and then we will stack a 6-footer here, and that'll be our 2-foot offset this way. So I think things are gonna come out pretty nice. Stay tuned, and there'll be more progress tomorrow. All right, everybody, it's Sunday morning. We're putting the base rock down for the retaining wall. We have a couple of loads of this good old brown rock. What we've got to do is put a 6-inch bed of rock in this entire ditch. You can see that pile I put over there. So what I did was put a pile on the end, put a pile right in here, put a pile right in there, and another pile on that, and I'm raking it out. And then what I'll do is I'll take this plate compactor, we'll set it down in the ditch, and we'll run it all the way down through here to create a good solid foundation for the big Lego blocks to sit on. And this plate compactor, you start this motor up, I think there's a belt over here, and it makes it vibrate. All right, everybody, we got the ditch packed with rock. Now we're setting some block. These blocks are definitely on that fine line of being too much for the mini excavator slash just right. I don't know what you'd want to call it. However, you can see here, Minnie's got it. It's got it up out of off the bottom there. When I brought the block over, we knocked a little bit too much of stuff in there, so it was sitting kind of funny. So what I do is pick it back up. Now we're going to spin it, center it this way, and then center, that's a corner block, so we're going to center it in the opposite ditch also. I wanted to start in the corner because that's a point that I cannot change, where this point here I've got some leeway by about 2 feet. That's my assumption of how to make it work best. So stay tuned, we're going to set some blocks. All right, everybody, so as you can see here, we've got the first row set. Now we're going to 90 at the end there with that corner piece, where we're going to go down the long side. So we'll walk down it here for you. I had to beat on them a little bit to get them nice and square and level. So you can see now we're going to make the long run there. Stay tuned, and maybe by the end of the day we'll have 2 courses set. We shall see. All right, everybody, we just about got the bottom course set all the way. So I wanted to show you something we've had to do because the mini These blocks are a little overweight for the Mini, but it's getting the job done. No complaints about that. The Dirt Perfect Mini is definitely an absolute hoss cat. So here's what we're doing is we're setting the block on the top course and then taking just enough weight off of it, because otherwise I gotta place it, move, place it, move, place it, move. So what we're doing is we're putting it there and we're driving it down to the other side. So you'll see what I'm talking about here. See it running on the V. Every once in a while it'll catch the end of another block, but this has seemed to work pretty darn good. We don't have to carry it, remove the chain, replay or reposition, etc. So we can just track it right down the row, just as though we were stacking a second course on there. So stay tuned, and hopefully we will have the second course done here soon. All right, everybody. I don't know how well you can see what's behind me, but we've got the second course almost all the way on. We're getting ready to set the last block. You can see how we ended up with a whole block under the ground down on that end, and then we came up with the block. That's all set to ensure that this block at the top, all of this row, that top course, is 4 inches below that concrete floor, so we can pour that floor out here to the outside edge. Looks like I need to straighten up that block and this block a little bit, but other than that, I think things are looking pretty good, pretty straight. Hey Dad, why don't you bring that laser down here and let's see what level we're at. Solid beep is good, fast beep is high, low beep is low. Let's see what we got. You're standing in front of the laser. There you go. Looks like a slow beep. Lift it up a little bit. A little more. A little more. Let me try. So it looks like we're about a 1/2 inch low. My preference is to be a little low because I can make it up in concrete. So instead of pouring 4 inches, we'll pour 4.5 inches on this outside corner. I'm good with that. You good with that?
Good.
You good with that?
Yep.
Lovely assistant. She's good with that. So we're going to go up here and we're going to set the one last block. I overdug it by a foot just to ensure if we needed to adjust that bottom layer, we could. We don't have to. We're trying to go at the end of that 6x6. 4-footer should fit in there quite nicely. Another thing to note is the bottom course seams are 2 feet different than those seams. So we ran this corner all the way out and then bumped that block on the first course to it. And then the first block that we set is a 2-foot overhang, which gives us that 2-foot offset down every single block from there on out. Stay tuned for the finished product. We have more to go. Once we're done here, we're gonna backfill all of that with gravel, and then we will get that dog kennel out of the way, move those dogs to a different spot, backfill again with gravel all the way through, make sure it's to grade, pour concrete on top, over the top of these blocks. We're also gonna cut this triangle off the top. I think that will crack my concrete because it'll be really thin there. So we're gonna go through with a diamond tip grinding wheel and cut them off.